Welcome to the Deep Dive. Grab your metaphorical compass, because today we're charting a course into a corner of Hong Kong that's been, well, pretty much off-limits, locked down for over 7 decades.
That's right.
We're plunging into the history and the hidden sites of the border region, Pingshe, Lin Ma Hang, and Sha Tau Kok.
And it's more than just geography, isn't it? It's like a living historical document. You've got this dense mix, deep Hakka clan culture, traditional farming, bits of pre-war industry, all pressed up against, modern military history, and that physical boundary line with Shenzhen.
And that long isolation is really the core of the story here.
Yeah.
Sha Tau Kok, for instance, became a frontier-closed area, the SEA, way back in 1951. I mean, we're talking basically right after the Chinese Civil War ended, just as the Cold War was really heating up.
Exactly. That political tension, it just created this boundary that stuck for 70 years. And when you limit access that strictly for that long, well, widespread urban development just doesn't happen. So the area unintentionally becomes this kind of cultural heritage time capsule. It preserves some incredibly authentic historical sites and, crucially, an ecology, a natural environment that you just don't find elsewhere in Hong Kong now.
Okay, so the mission today is to understand what got preserved, but also why is it opening up now? The analysis we looked at points squarely at this huge plan, the Northern Metropolis strategy.
That strategy is key context for you listening. It's really a fundamental shift for Hong Kong, moving the city's focus, its gravity, if you like, away from the super dense south.
Yeah, always so congested.
Towards something different in the north. The idea is low density, high quality living. And this closed borderland, it's right at the heart of that vision. It offers these historical stories, these ecological resources that the rest of the territory just can't match.
Okay, let's unpack that history then, see how this time capsule actually works. We sort of boiled down the analysis into 5 key sites, or maybe 5 key narratives that really show the complexity here, starting with its role as a Cold War frontline.
Right. The first narrative really focuses on that isolation, the surveillance aspect. We look at the MacIntosh Forts.
Good. Yes.
These are grade 2 historic buildings now, and they are just such powerful symbols of that border history in the new territories. Built by the colonial government, late 1940s, early 1950s.
And these weren't just like decorative towers, they were serious structures, right?
Yeah.
Put there to manage that huge wave of refugees during and after the Civil War.
Absolutely.
And just keep tight control on that border. Symbols of isolation, maybe even fear, and that hardening geopolitical line.
And what's fascinating is how they're built and where they are. They're octagonal concrete bunkers. Really solid, self-sufficient too, designed to hold out if needed.
Self-sufficient, how so?
Well, they had everything inside.
Yeah.
Kitchens, water storage tanks, even separate sleeping areas. And they're always placed strategically up high, like on Red Flower Ridge, for maximum visibility.
That octagonal shape. Is there a particular military reason for that? Or just how they built them back then?
Oh, definitely military. It maximizes the field of fire, gives you 360-degree visibility, no blind corners. They were purpose-built sentinels, really. And now, those same stark geometric forts, they're landmarks for hikers. People go up there for the views.
Wow, that's quite a shift.
It's an incredible transformation, isn't it? From symbols of separation and tension to these peaceful spots for exploring the landscape.
That really is powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move from military defense to something else, industrial resistance.
Okay.
Narrative number 2 takes us to the Lin Ma Hang lead mine. This place has a fascinating story involving black gold and just incredible resilience.
Yeah, the mine was quite a hub before the war, active in the 1930s, producing lead, zinc, brass, standard pre-war industry for the region.
Okay.
But its history gets much bigger during World War II, when the Japanese occupied it, for resources for their war effort. The local villagers, alongside actual guerrilla fighters, they fought back.
Really? How significant was that? I mean, it's a lead mine in a pretty remote spot.
Locally, it was hugely significant. They actually managed to retake the mine and hold on to it for a while.
Yeah.
And that act, it sort of wove this isolated border community into that larger story of national resistance against the occupation. It wasn't just a small skirmish. It really cemented a sense of local pride and defense.
Okay, and here's where the story takes this amazing turn, almost poetic justice, right? Because when the mine eventually closed down in the late 1950s, that industrial scar, those empty tunnels, they didn't just stay derelict.
No, they became something quite incredible, a natural sanctuary. In 1994, it was officially designated a Site of Special Scientific Interest, an SSSI.
And why was that?
bats. The deserted tunnels, the shafts, they turned out to be the perfect habitat, home to 10 different species of bats.
10 species, just in that one mine.
Yep, including some really important ones like the long-winged bat and the great horseshoe bat.
So a place of like industrial extraction and wartime conflicts becomes this quiet haven for protected species. That's a wonderful twist.
It really is, and that conservation status dictates everything about how we experience it now. The mine was turned into an open-air museum just recently in 2024, but tourism there is strictly controlled by ecological rules. Meaning no bright lights that could disturb the bats, no carving out new paths. The priority is protecting that habitat. The human story has to take a back seat to the needs of the natural world there.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, so moving from the hills and the mines down towards the coast, let's look at how culture and trade managed to persist, even with those borderlines drawn.
Okay, narrative number 3 brings us to the Sha Tau Kok public pier. Now, this is interesting. At 280 meters long, it is officially Hong Kong's longest public pier.
The longest, really?
Yes, and that length tells a story. It was rebuilt in 2007, partly to handle deeper water, but its original scale reflects just how vital it was.
Because before 1951, that pier wasn't just a place to tie up boats. It was the gateway, right? The main entry point to this buzzing cross-border market town.
Exactly. People from the mainland side would come across to buy things they couldn't easily get back home. It was quite literally this long cultural antenna sticking out into Mears Bay, connecting two worlds.
And its reopening was a big deal.
Huge. The opening of the pier in 2022 was the very first step in revitalizing the area. Now it's the main launching point for tours, island-hopping trips out to places like Lai Chi Wo and Kot O in the geopark.
Connecting back to Hakka culture and geology.
Precisely. And just standing on that pier, it feels significant. You get a real sense of its historical weight and its geographic reach.
Okay, next narrative, number 4, focuses on something less tangible. The fish lantern dance. Yu Ding Wu.
Yes, this is a piece of intangible cultural heritage. It dates way back, Ming and Qing dynasties, traditional performed by fishermen in Shalanha village.
What does it involve?
It's quite a sight, usually performed at night. Men carry these beautifully crafted lanterns shaped like different kinds of fish, moving in patterns that mimic fish swimming. But the truly remarkable thing,
What's that?
it completely ignores the border. The tradition still exists and is practiced on both the Hong Kong side and the Shenzhen side of Sha Tau Kok.
Wow. So it's shared heritage. Proof of that single connected Hakka fishing community that existed before the border cut right through town in 51.
Exactly. The political line might have divided the town, but it couldn't just erase this deep cultural link.
That's fascinating.
And it offers a really unique opportunity for, say, evening cultural tourism, especially since the main Sha Tau Kok area stays open until 9 p.m. now. You can witness a living tradition that kind of defies modern borders.
Right. And finally, narrative number 5. This one is about clan resilience. The Lin Ma Hang clan ancestral hall, built around the 18th century.
That's right. And it's just a perfect example of how isolation acted as a preservative.
How so?
Well, Lin Ma Hang village used to have multiple family names, multiple clans. But today, the people still living there are overwhelmingly from the Ip clan. Those decades spent sealed off inside the frontier closed area unintentionally shielded the whole clan structure. Their traditions, like ancestor worship rituals during festivals, shielded them from the kind of rapid urbanization that completely changed the rest of the new territories.
So the political isolation was like putting the traditional southern Chinese rural clan system into a deep freeze almost.
In a way, yes. You see other old villages around Hong Kong needing lots of outside help, money, university projects to sort of revive their heritage.
Right, I've heard about those revitalization efforts.
But Lin Ma Hang's structure, its traditions, they just persisted, largely because of their own internal cultural strength. Protected by neglect, you could say, not by any active conservation plan back then.
Protected by neglect, that's quite a phrase.
It's a valuable living piece of history that survived because it was left alone. And that's the cultural strength we're now carefully starting to open up.
Okay, we've covered the history, the locations, these 5 incredible narratives locked in time. Let's shift to the practical side. If you, our listener, want to actually experience this unique place, how do you do it? Especially given that low-density goal of the Northern Metropolis plan. You can't just overwhelm it.
Absolutely. Logistics are key, and they are tightly managed to keep visitor numbers controlled. You can't just drive your car up there.
Right.
Entry requires a special frontier closed area permit. the Gam Jing.
Okay, and how do you get one of those? Sounds a bit bureaucratic.
It is a little, but manageable if you plan ahead. You have to apply online through the Hong Kong Police Force website and definitely allow time at least 2 full working days for processing.
2 days minimum, okay?
Now, if you go with an organized tour group, the travel agency usually handles the permit application for you, which simplifies things. But for individual travelers, it's the online police system.
And getting there itself is controlled too. I know you mentioned no private cars in the main area.
That's correct. To minimize the environmental impact and keep the place feeling, well, special, visitors must use designated public transport. Specific bus routes or minibus routes are the only way in for individuals.
Got it. And the opening hours?
The whole area, except for the famous Chungying Street, the Sino-British Street, which has its own rules, is open daily from 7 a.m. in the morning until 9 p.m. at night.
And visitor numbers. Is there still a strict quota?
There's an overall daily limit, currently set at 3,000 people, but they recently removed the specific separate quotas for tour groups versus individuals. The idea seems to be to normalize it a bit, make access less complex, while still keeping that overall cap to manage density.
Okay, so let's pull back for a moment and think about the bigger picture, the reflection here. Opening up this area, it really challenges that very urban-centric view of Hong Kong history that most people, probably even most locals, have.
It absolutely does. It forces a kind of reckoning with Hong Kong's identity, doesn't it? For so long, the story of Hong Kong has been focused on Victoria Harbor, finance, the colonial buildings downtown.
Yeah, the usual narrative.
But this border area, with its preserved Hakka culture, its Cold War relics, it shows a much deeper history, one that's deeply connected to the broader Pearl River Delta region, to southern China. The border shifts from being just a wall of isolation to becoming a point of connection to that wider regional context.
But the big challenge then is balancing that connection, that opening up, with protecting what's there.
Yeah.
Especially the ecology, with all the development planned under the Northern Metropolis strategy.
That is the fundamental tension, yes. And the Lin Ma Hang mine, the SSI, is the perfect example, the test case.
Right, the bat sanctuary.
Exactly. It proves that the whole philosophy guiding the Northern Metropolis needs to recognize that these natural resources, the bats, the unique ecology, are actually more valuable in the long run than just maximizing tourist dollars quickly. There's a responsibility there to protect that ecosystem. The real value lies in preserving it, not just exploiting it.
This has been a really eye-opening journey through a part of Hong Kong that's been hidden in plain sight, in a way. We've touched on the Cold War MacIntosh Forts, the incredible story of resistance at the Lin Ma Hang mine, Hong Kong's longest pier at Sha Tau Kok, the living tradition of the fish lantern dance, and that enduring Ip clan ancestral hall.
It really is like uncovering a second chapter of Hong Kong's story, a kind of border epic. And the crucial thing now is ensuring that these treasures, kept safe precisely because they were isolated for so long, are revealed carefully, with real respect for the history and a very firm commitment to protecting the ecology.
So the final thought for you, the listener.
Maybe it's this. If decades of isolation were unintentionally the best way to preserve this unique heritage, what responsibility does Hong Kong's current development drive have? How do we make sure that opening up this time capsule doesn't end up breaking what's inside?